Hi guys, my name is Karthik and I'm from executeautomation.com and welcome to our next lecture of Selenium with Java series. And we have been talking about Selenium with Java until our last lecture, at least the basic installation and getting started and how we can write a simple program in Selenium with Java in both Eclipse IDE as well as in IntelliJ IDE. We also saw the power of IntelliJ IDE, which is going to be making our development lives even more simplified. That's what we were discussing until our last lecture of this particular series. And in this session, we are going to see what is this Selenium WebDriver manager in depth. So we saw Selenium WebDriver was launching the browser for us, like using the Chrome driver. But we are going to see what are the other features Selenium WebDriver has got and what are the things potentially it can do with the browser and the page that we are working with using Selenium WebDriver. Well, as that said, if you remember in our last lecture, we were talking about how Selenium work in detail, where we told you that there is a WebDriver API, which is going to be talking with the client libraries, and this client library is written using Java, C#, Python, or JavaScript. And then these client libraries is going to invoke a JSON wire protocol, which is then going to invoke a browser driver for us. And that's going to launch the browsers, right? And these browser drivers are like Chrome driver, Keycode driver, or IE driver, and Safari drivers are the one which is responsible for spawning these browsers for you, like Chrome driver. So you remember in our last lecture, we were trying to spin up the Chrome driver by creating an instance of a new Chrome driver, something like this. So this really spawned the browser for us, something like that, like automatically, right? So how is these browser drivers are doing all these things, and where have we specified the Chrome driver to do all these operations? So in fact, the reality is some months before, or maybe an year before, I guess, Selenium Chrome driver, Keycode driver, and Safari driver, we have to manually download that and set a home path for these driver in our machine. And then we have to locate that driver using the path, like the home path of this driver. And then the program will automatically invoke the browser that you're looking for based on the driver that you have specified. But nowadays, we don't have to do all these things. So it's all going to be taken care by what is called as a WebDriver manager. So if you're wondering how Selenium could launch the browser by downloading the drivers automatically, as I told you, Selenium manager is the one which is doing things for you behind the scene. So if you see that there is something called as a Selenium manager, which will be installed for you automatically once you install the Selenium Java. And then this Selenium manager is responsible for initiating the browser download, like browser driver download, like for the Chrome driver and the Keycode driver and the Safari driver. And then based on the driver that you specify in the code, it is going to launch the browsers for you. That is how things are happening for you behind the scene. So if you just go to your code over here and go to the external libraries, just go scroll down a bit slowly, and there is this one, the Selenium manager, as you can see. So this Selenium manager is responsible for you to download the required browser drivers. So now you may ask, like, Karthik, where is this browser's drivers that you're talking about? Where is it sitting within my machine if it is downloaded? Well, it is not there in your project folder anywhere. At least in Java language, because in .NET it is different. But if you see in your machine, if you just go to the C colon and go to the users, and if you see I have Karthik KK over here, and you can see that we have a folder called as .cache. So if I just go to this folder, you see that we have got a Selenium folder, and inside the Selenium folder is where you can see all the list of drivers that I'm talking about. See that we have got a Chrome driver, a Keycode driver, Selenium Manager by itself, and there is this MS Edge driver for the Edge browsers, and we have a metadata for that. And we also have got a full-blown Chrome browser itself. So if you don't even have a Chrome browser within your machine, it's going to launch the Chrome browser for you. I mean, the Chrome is not like the full-blown Chrome that you are seeing, but it is a Chromium browser. So just double-click this Chrome over here. This is an exe file. You see that? It says Google Chrome for testing. So this is like a full-blown Chrome browser or a Chromium browser, which comes along with the Selenium Manager for you to perform the testing operation. So these things were not there before as a part of the Selenium's download operation. Like we had to do this all manually, but right now the Selenium Manager does everything for you, and it keeps things very, very simplified, because even while running things in CI/CD pipeline, you don't have to worry about whether the browser is there on that virtual machine or any other cloud machine that you're working with, because the browsers are going to be available for you automatically based on that one single line that you're seeing over here, which is awesome. And as I said, if you just go to this Chrome driver, you will see that there's going to be an exe file. And you see that there are a bunch of different versions of the Chrome drivers available. So this is based on the browser versions, or the Chrome browser version. So this is like version number 119. So you see that it is an exe file. And similarly, there is this 120 or 120, there is a Chrome driver file. So all these are going to be downloaded for you based on the browser version that you have got. Similarly, for the Gecko driver, you have got it over here. And for the MS Edge driver, you have got it over here. And notice that I have all in Win ARM64 because my Windows is an ARM-based Windows operating system, because it's running on the Mac operating system. That's why it is in ARM. But maybe in yours, it's going to be x86 or x64. So based on that, it is going to be a different folder structure. So it might not be the same like how it is looking for me in your machine. So hope you got the idea of how this Selenium Manager creates all the drivers and store it in the cache of Selenium folder, something like this. Well, as that said, we are now going to see some more detail about the Selenium WebDriver. You remember last time, last lecture, we're talking about the navigate method to open the URL, which is this one. So what if I wanted to do some more things? Let's say if I wanted to minimize the browser. So I can just say driver.manage. There is an option for manage, which has got the operation something like window. So you see that if I say window is going to be the browser's window. And over here, you can set this to full screen. You can maximize the window and minimize the window, something like that. So if I, let's say, set it to full screen, right? So if I don't set this, let's see what is going to happen. I'm going to run everything in a debug mode just for the demonstration purpose. So while I run this in debug mode, you see that it is going to the browser for me over here. And do you notice that the browser is not in a full screen mode? It is just like in a half of my screen over here. And while I run this entire thing, it just loads the page over there. But now what if my test has got a requirement where I want to run everything in a full screen mode rather in this half size mode? So if I want to do that, we can just use this line of code like driver.manage.window.fullscreen. So this is going to set the screen as full screen, which is the browser. So if I do it this time, let me put a breakpoint here and debug this test. So you will notice that it is going to launch the browser and it's going to navigate there, and then it's going to make it like full screen. Do you see that it's like the full screen? And also notice that it says that the Chrome is being controlled by an automated test software. So it knows that it's not controlled by a human, but it is done by an automated testing software, which is Selenium in this case. So if it runs by Playwright, the same thing happens on that as well. So yeah, that's about the full screen option. You see that now it's an entirely full screen. So this is how we make the things as full screen. And what if we wanted to minimize the screen? So how do I do that? And it's exactly the same thing. All you have to do is like driver dot, and there is this method called as manage, which is basically you're just managing the browser driver, right? So you just manage and hit dot and then window, and over here you can say that you can minimize it. So this is to minimize the browsers after it becomes full screen. And similarly, you can maximize if I wanted to, if it is minimized already. So those things can be done as well. So that is about the setting the full screen, minimizing the screen or of browser, and then you can also maximize it if you wanted to. So all these things you can do it from here. Let's try to debug it. So I'm going to stop and rerun because it's running apparently. So you see that it launched, and then you see that it just minimizes it after the execution, and because the browser has just launched, so you see that behind the scene there is no browsers because it's minimized like that, just went down. That's what happened over here with this line of code. So that is the manage method of the WebDriver. This is one of the most important thing because we will most of the time use this kind of thing. And the next one is going to be driver dot close method. So this close method will entirely close the browser after the test execution is fully complete. So you see that all the time it doesn't closes the browser for you, even the test execution is complete or even the code execution is complete. So how do I close the browser after the execution is complete? So if I wanted to do that, instead of me manually closing the browser every single time like this, I can just call the close method and I can save this. And now if I try to debug this code, you'll notice that the browser is opened, and you also see that the browser is now closed because this driver.close method is executed. So the window has been closed right now. So the browser doesn't exist anymore. So this is a cleanup operation. Like every single time before your test begins, you open up the browser, run the test, and close the browser so that you reduce the memory usage of your machine. And also it's a best practice that you close the browser every single time. That's how the driver.close method works. And then we can also do something like this. If I wanted to do like a get current URL, so what URL is currently being served on the page, you can also do that. You can also print that value. So let's say if I wanted to do a system.out.println of this current URL, which is available on my browser, you can print that as well. So the URL on my browser, so you can get the URL of your browser using this particular method, get current URL method. So the name itself actually simplifies things because it is very well readable and understandable as well. And well, as that said, let's try to see if I could able to get the print of this particular value. So I'm going to go debug it, and let's wait for the browser to open. There we go. And now let's try to go to the console over here. You see that in the console it says the URL on my browser is this one. So you can easily get the URL of your browser which is being served, which is this guy, on the console using this driver.getCurrentURL. So that method does those magics for you, which is awesome. And let's stop that. And similarly, you can do even more things. So you can also get the title of the page, get the page source. This is very, very important. Sometimes I've seen in many companies, people get the page source and they try to get what is there inside the page source during that particular point of time. For instance, if they want to verify if the page has got the Bing text in it, or if it has got anything very interesting on that particular page that you're looking for, you can also test that if you wanted to. For instance, let's say in this particular Bing page, if I wanted to see the source of this page or the source code of this page, just right click on the browser like this and do this inspect. And I'm telling you, most of your automation testing journey will always start with this particular option, the inspect option, because you're going to be staying this place almost all the time. So if you just go and hit this inspect, you see that you get the entire source code of the page. In order to view the entire source code in a different window, you can just hit this view page source. You see that it's going to bring the entire source code of this particular page. So now let's say, because this is a Bing website, I'm sure there is going to be a text called as Bing. And immediately I can see it here. Like Bing helps you turn information into action, right? So let's say I want to verify if this text exists while I load the page. So what should I do? Well, I can get the page source and then I can compare if that text exists or not. Now gets interesting, right? Like now we are going to write this scenario over here. Let's say tomorrow my manager says that, Karthik, you know what? We have developed the website and I wanted to test you that every single time you navigate to our page and ensure that the page is fully loaded. The way you can do it is you can either take a screenshot, compare the screenshot if you wanted to, which is going to be costly for sure. Rather, you can also verify a specific text if that exists, and if the team agrees that that text if exists, then your testing is done. Then you can do that. You can grab the page source, get the specific text if it exists or not, verify if it exists, and then you tell that, there you go, I'm done with my testing. My testing is passed. So how do we actually do that? Now comes all the learnings that we did earlier on the core Java concept. Remember, like we used to get the text and we also did the if condition. So now it brings the non-primitive type string and the condition statement if in this side. So we'll see how we can do that. So what I'm going to do, the pseudocode over here, I'm going to take the friendly MS Paint and I'm going to do this. I'm going to, open the web page, which is the Bing. I'm going to open this page and I'm going to get the source. I know the handwriting is super bad. So we're going to get the source of this particular page. And from the source page, we are going to find a text. So we're going to find a text from this particular page. And if that text exists, so we can write an if condition here. So if it is there, if it is yes, then we're going to say print like true or whatever. If not, like no, then you say it does not exist. So you just say false. So that's the idea. We are going to do this kind of scenario in this particular test. So let's say in order to do that, I'm going to go to my code and I'm going to do this. So get current URL. I'm just going to leave that guy as it is. And over here, I'm going to get the current page source, which is what I wanted to do first, because we have already opened the website, navigated to the website. But now based on the pseudocode, we need to get the source of the page. So how do we do that? So I'm going to say var. So I'm going to store everything into a var type as page source is equal to, you know that if the driver method, we also have got the get page source method and returns a string type over here. As you see, this method returns you a string. That's why this var type now becomes a string type. You remember the implicitly typed variable, like how you do that? That's what it is. So I'm var of the page source, and the var is just complaining here because it's never been used. That's why. And now what I'm going to do is I need to compare if the page source has got any specific text. And the text which I want to compare this time is this guy. The Bing helps you turn information into action. So I'm going to copy this whole thing and we're going to compare that in the string. So in order to do that, you remember we write the if condition before. The same if condition comes in here. And I'm going to say page source, and for an equals operator, you remember for the string, we used to do like a, let's see, let me convert it to a string type. We used to get an equals method here or content equals, something like that. So you can do any of the method here, and I'm going to say what is called as the contains method, because we know for sure that there are so many text available, but I want to just verify a specific text, which is going to be this one. Bing helps you turn information into action. So this contains method of string will go and verify if this page source has got this text in it. As simple as that, right? So if it is there, then you just write system.out.println and say true, something like that. Or else, you know that we write the else statement. Again, if you have not went through the core Java concept, please go and watch the conditional statement lecture, which is going to give you the idea of how we did these things before. So I'm just going to go with that, and I'm going to say false in here. Oops, I don't know what I have got added from this IDE, and I'm going to say false. So if the text exists, then it's going to print true, if not false. But now I want to also see what is the page source. So while I'm debugging, you remember we used to put a breakpoint like how we did here. So I'm going to put a breakpoint here as well, so that you can see what's going to be the page source that is coming out from here. So let's try to debug this code. And now you see that the browser is open, it has navigated, and now it is getting into the page source line. And if I just do a step over, remember I was telling you that during the debugging in the if conditional statement class, that the debugging is something that you're going to be doing quite often. That's what is happening at the moment. We are going to be debugging quite a lot. So I'm going to do a step over right now. And you see that now it has grabbed, so it took some time to get to the next line because it has grabbed all the page source and stored into this string of page source over here. And you see that that's the whole string which is stored into this page source variable. So if I go and click this one, you see that it's going to show me the entire string of that page until here. See, it ends with /body/html. So if I go to the page source, just in case, oh, I guess I closed it. No, it's here. See that /body/html. That's the last line of this particular source. So that's what is being grabbed for me over here. And now I'm going to verify if the page source contains this text over here. And I'm telling you this is going to be true for sure. You see that? Once I executed it by using F10, F8, it is just going to the true. So it's going to basically print the true for me, as you see in the console. And the execution is complete. So that's what I was talking about. So this is how you get the page source, and then you can also verify if that works. That's not the scenario that most of the time we do it. And this is how you do it using the WebDrivers method, like get page source. And the next method that we are going to talk about in this in the driver method, the WebDriver method, is, let's say, we are going to talk about we have seen these methods so far, like navigate, close, get current URL, manage, and then the get page source. But we have not talked about the find element and find elements. These two methods we'll be talking about while we talk about the locators in our next lecture. But at least I'm just going to hold tight over here. I'm not going to talk about these two methods, but I'm just giving you a heads up that there is this method which is going to be used, I think, 99% of our automation testing time, the find element method. So yeah, just be aware. This is the most important thing. Just a spoiler alert, right? And then we have also talked about the get title, because it's going to just get the title for you. And then this next method that I'm going to talk about is the get window handle and window handles method. So this method is also very, very important, because you will be using this method to get the handle of your current opened window, which is the browser window in this one. So this is going to give you a handle of the window. What I tell about the handles, let's try to print that. let's say system.out.println of my browser's current handle, and I'm going to say driver dot get window handle. That's gonna give me the handle of this particular window. So if you're just ever wondering like what is this handle is going to look like and how it is even going to be displayed on that particular string, so if I just go to the console over here, you will notice that it's going to open the browser and it is also going to print the handle something like a big gigantic quid. So you can see that every single time while we open up a window, this handle is going to keep on changing for me. So this handle is not always the same for every single time. This handle will keep changing every single time. But this handle is pretty much like a process ID or process handle ID, which is there in Linux. So this ID is going to be helpful for you to locate which window that you're working with. So if you have got multiple different windows, for instance, if you click a window, I mean, if you're working with this particular page, and let's say if you click any link and it opens up another pop-up window, then you can switch to that pop-up window using this window handle. All right. So there is this switch to method as well, which does that for you. But before you switch to that window, you need to get the handle of the current window and to the window that you're going to switch towards to. So that is what is this handle. So initially, let's say the first handle, the first window handle will be with this big gigantic number. So once you click on any of the page and it opens up another window for you, then that window will have a different handle ID. So you need to know what that handle ID as well. So you need to, and then once you work with that window, the small window or pop-up window, and once you close that window, you need to then fall back to your original window, which is this current window. And that you can do using the switch to method. So that is what is the window handle. And window handles method is going to give you all the different handles that you have got in your browser. I mean, apparently we don't even have multiple different windows. So it's just only one window, and that's why you will have only one handle. So let's say just for the demonstration purpose, I'm just going to make use of the get window handles method. So dot get window handles method. And because this get window handles method is basically an array type, and you see that it returns a java.util.set of string. So basically it's a set collection of string. So now you have to get all the window handles that you have got. You remember we used to do like a for each operation to get all the handles. You can do that as well at this point of time. So you can just say for and I'm gonna say var handle, and I'm gonna say driver dot get window handles, open and close the braces, and I'm gonna say current window. Just gonna put that over here, and I'm gonna say handle like that. So that's gonna give me the handle that I'm looking for. And now if I try to run this code, and I will show you what is gonna happen, what it's gonna print for me. So if I try to debug this code, let me go to the console where the browser opens up. You see that the browser has opened and it has come through here. At the moment, it only has only one handle because it's just one single browser and there is no window in it. But if I wanted to get different window handles, what I'm going to do it is I'm just going to put a breakpoint over here. Just want to show you that you can also print different Windows handle just in case if you have any. Even different tab is a Windows handle. So I'm going to put a breakpoint here and I'm going to debug this particular test. But what I'm trying to do this time is I want to create some windows like manually, and then we can print all the handles one by one. When I say manually, what I mean is that I'm going to go and create some navigate to some web page in a different tab. Let's say google.com, udemy.com, or youtube.com, something like that. So you see that I have navigated to multiple different page apart from the Bing website. And now what happens eventually this time is that you see that now we're going to get into the get window handles method. But guess what? We just go select this entire get windows handle method, right click and do an evaluate expression. So that's how you do it in the IntelliJ world, in like watch and everything. So if I do an evaluate, you will notice that I'm going to get 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, which is like 4 window. This 4 windows, nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4 tabs. So we're going to get all the 4 tabs and their handles like this. So this is what I mean about that. Like you can get the Windows handle something like this over here. So now if I want to print all the value, just let me run them all. And if I go to the console, you see that I'm going to get handles for different tab on that particular browser. That is what I mean about it. Like you can create multiple Windows handle and you can get all the Windows handle using the get handles method. So if you're gonna get only one handle, you can get just the get Windows handle method. So if you want to get all the Windows handle, you can use the get Windows handles method. That is how you do everything using this operation. So now you may also do some more operation, like some advanced operation, like switching to a specific handle. If you wanted to, let's say the first one or the second browser, you can do that as well. I mean, first tab or the second tab, you can do it as well. And that way it is going to keep our life even more simpler. So once we get to the switching to Windows and all those things, I will explain you how things works. But as of now, you have already got the idea how that we can work with different methods of the WebDriver of Selenium and how to work with these methods. So as I told you, once again, just a recap, just see all these methods over here, like manage method, get Windows handles, get window handle method, get current URL, navigate, get page source, and get and the find element and find elements. As I told you, as a spoiler alert, we'll be talking about these method quite a lot in our upcoming lectures, but at least for now, I'm not going to talk about it. And then get title, switch to. So these are the methods you have, and then close and quit method, which is going to do things for you. But other than that, you don't have any other method to worry about. Well, as that said, these are the methods available in Selenium WebDriver, which we'll be using in full swing while we start using Selenium automation using Selenium WebDriver. And hope you already got the idea. So I'll let you play around yourself, like how you can work with the entire thing that we have discussed so far. Just try out yourself everything that we have discussed so far, because this is the most foundational element, which is the WebDriver. And then we'll talk about the web element, which is going to be the interacting to the element within that particular web page. That is going to be the second part. But the first part is the core frame, which is this one, the whole website, the whole browser itself. That is what we are playing around with the WebDriver here. So once you are familiar with this one, web element is also going to be straightforward, and then we can get the solid foundation stronger, and then we can move forward with our different scenarios of automation testing. So once again, thank you so much for watching this video. Catch you in the next one.